Welcome to this video. I hope you had a great start to the new year. Let's take a look at some news stories, shall we? The first story is called Automatic Email Compliance. I have purchased subscriptions for an anti-malware service from a well-known provider for a couple of years now. This provider's pricing is a fixed rate for one device and many additional devices at a reduced price. So using a hypothetical rate, you will be charged $50 for covering one device and $12 more for covering a second device. Initially, in my university freshman years, I only have had one laptop. So I have purchased support for one device only. Since then, in late 2018, I have built myself a desktop, and my girlfriend's laptop requires maintenance and care. So I added coverage for two additional devices. I didn't pay too much attention at the time. The supposed added coverage is not adding $24 on top of my current subscription. Instead, the company is adding an entirely new subscription on top of my current one. So I am paying $112 in total per year. Fast forward a year to about a week ago. I reinstalled my girlfriend's laptop and started looking for the license key for the anti-malware subscription I purchased when I stumbled upon the holiday special, which is exactly half of what I then realized I was paying to them altogether. I opened a support ticket with them, asking to at least merge the two subscriptions into one, and if possible provide the holiday pricing to me, as I have been a loyal customer for several years now. I understand it is the holiday season, so I waited patiently for a representative to get back to me. Yesterday morning, after a week of waiting for a response, I have received an update, which essentially told me to cancel the account. I immediately replied to them, so the automated solution suggests to me to cancel all my subscriptions and go elsewhere? December 30th should not be an official holiday here in North America, and a support representative should have replied to me after seeing they are potentially losing a customer. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So this morning, I followed their instruction and cancelled both my subscriptions. One of the subscriptions actually did not have a cancel subscription, which forced me to cancel my billing agreement. The next story is called Cleaning Compliance. During holidays, my brother usually stays in his room and minds his own business. He doesn't like to interact with people and stays in his room watching anime. When school holidays come, my mum gave us chores to do, like throwing trash, cleaning the plates and vacuuming the house. And he wanted to throw the trash, but my mum instructed him to vacuum the house to exercise. He argued but lost to my mum. The next day at 5 he woke all of us up by vacuuming the house. My mum asked him what he is doing and he replied that he was vacuuming the house. My mum wasn't impressed and told him to sleep. But 30 minutes later, he woke all of us again with the vacuum. He claimed he had slept for 30 minutes and was eager to vacuum the house. My mum then gave in and told him to just throw the trash every morning. The last story is called Just Do Your Job. When I was 19 years old and I graduated from my country's equivalent of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. The one thing I did know is that I needed money. So I started applying for all kinds of jobs. After a few weeks of writing applications, going to interviews and waiting nervously for replies, I was hired as a full-time sales assistant for an international company making smartphones and other electronic gadgets. Said company was in the process of opening their first official store in my country, and I, as I was hired about 3 months before they were due to open, helped them however I could. I created one-pagers, translated manuals and put security tags on products. Whatever they wanted me to do I did, sometimes until late at night, still thinking that this initiative would maybe be recognized in one shape or another. Alongside me, they hired 4 other people. 3 more sales assistants and a store manager, all of whom were young and ambitious, just like me. The grand opening went very well. The business was booming for the first 2 weeks and everything seemed fine. That's where the problems started. The first thing we realized we didn't have were guidelines on how to handle returns and warranty cases. As the company's electronics had been available online long before the store opened, some people now started bringing in their devices to get them fixed or swapped out, none of which we knew how to handle. This annoyed a lot of customers, being given the information that only devices bought at our specific store would be handled under warranty only made things worse for us. We were getting abuse on a daily basis that ranged from curse words to threats. Once we even had to call security because a customer was threatening us. This stress caused one of my colleagues to quit, understandably. This, as it turned out, was only the tip of the iceberg. Some of the other problems we had included having a break room with no access to fresh water, no fridge, no microwave and of course no bathroom. The new supply came in sporadically at best. Sometimes we got new supply twice a week, sometimes there were no deliveries for 3 weeks, making it very hard for us to tell our customers when their devices will be arriving. The store manager was so incompetent, he couldn't even finish our schedules 3 days in advance, although giving the schedule 2 weeks in advance is mandatory. One of my colleagues thought screw this about a month after our grand opening and went on sick leave, which where I live basically gives you immunity from getting fired. So now we were 2 men down. The bosses upstairs apparently wanted us to provide tech support over the phone, which again none of us were trained to do. We did our best, but only really ended up with more threats in addition to having our official store phone number constantly blocked by these calls. Also, we were expected to take over social media communications as well, meaning we now had to answer questions, putting even more strain on our small team. In the end, the manager couldn't deal with the stress anymore and broke down about 2 months after opening. He even sought psychological counseling after quitting. While I was sad to see him go, I thought that now my time had come to prove myself. I took over most of his duties, still only earning about half of what the manager made. Naively, I worked 60 to 70-hour weeks for almost 3 months straight, still thinking that this would somehow pay off. I made sure to tell my bosses how much more I did than we agreed upon in my contract, but they didn't seem to care. That is, until our sales figures dropped. All of a sudden, I had 2 of them come into the store unannounced, basically drag me into a back room and start lecturing me on how badly the store is performing. The conversation went something like this: "So, why would you say the store's sales performance has dropped so much since the manager left?" "Well, a lot of customers are unhappy with the way our products are very competitive. Why are you still struggling to sell them?" I got slightly disgruntled. "Well, sir, as I was trying to say, the customers are not happy with our service, and running a store with just 2 employees is almost impossible. If we could hire 2 more assistants, maybe we could focus better on our numbers. The interviews for those positions are ongoing, you will have new employees soon. But you were hired for a reason, so would you just do your job?" "Yes, sir." After that meeting, I felt defeated. Doing all this extra work, staying late, taking responsibility for things I had no business taking responsibility for, the threats, the uncertainty, the stress, the sleep deprivation, all for nothing. And that's when it clicked in my head: screw those guys. They wanted me to do my job? Fine. From then on, I would do exactly what my job description says, nothing more, nothing less. The next day, I came in early, opened the store, everything normal. Until the first support call came in. I picked up the phone and, after listening to what the caller wanted, told them that I was only a sales assistant and therefore not qualified to answer their questions. Hanging up the phone without saying goodbye, a postman came in with some special documents for the store manager, requiring a signature. I said no, sorry, I'm not a manager. After being informed that these were court documents and need to be signed immediately, I just shrugged and said, not my problem. Just doing my job here. Later that day, after my colleague had arrived, we got a delivery of a new product for the store. The delivery guy handed me the manifest, asking for a signature. Again I declined, stating that I was just doing my job and the manager would have to sign that. After making it clear to him there wasn't a manager on site, he left, taking all of the new product with him, the product which we desperately needed. But I was beyond caring at this point. About 15 minutes later, I got a call from the boss, asking me why no one had signed for the delivery. I told him that, as there was no manager on site, nobody there was allowed to sign that document. After a few choice words, he hung up the phone and I went back to work, chatting with customers and generally not caring about anything. Half an hour later, both bosses descended onto me. They rushed into the store, demanding an explanation for my behavior. I simply replied, "I'm just doing my job, sir. Just like you asked me to do." "What do you mean? Then why has nobody accepted today's delivery or the documents we've sent you?" "Well, that's the manager's job." "I am not a manager." "Yes, you are." "What the hell are you talking about?" "No. Not only would my pay be pretty poor for all the work I am doing, my contract clearly states that I am a sales assistant and as such shall only fulfill duties related to that position. And who is supposed to do the manager's job if not for you?" "I don't know, but I would gladly do it. If you doubled my salary, of course." One boss actually started laughing in my face. "Who do you think you are? We can have you replaced with someone cheaper in a heartbeat." "Okay then, go ahead." I quit, effective immediately. Bye. And then I just left. My remaining colleague, upon hearing me quit, also quit immediately, leaving our former bosses wide-eyed with no employees to run their store. I had also taken the liberty of informing the Board of Health and Labor about our working conditions, as well as getting myself legal counseling for some issues related to bonuses not being paid out. The store ended up having to completely shut down for about 2 weeks until they had a skeleton crew back together to run it. The kicker? About a month after I quit and with my lawsuit for unpaid wages now pending, I got a call from one of the bosses, telling me he wanted to accept my offer of doubling my salary to become the store manager. He said no one was willing to take the job now that word got around how awful things are in the store. I said, frankly, I don't much like getting laughed at. So I'm afraid if you want me to come back, you're gonna have to quadruple my initial pay. What? Are you insane? We can't afford that. I don't care, I really don't. But I've got an idea. How about you just do your job? Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye, see you next time.